meeting of the Gettysburg Area School Board of Directors on this Tuesday, February 19th, 2019. The purpose of this meeting is to conduct the business of the Gettysburg Area School District. Public comment is welcome and issues will be referred to the appropriate board committee or administrator. Please know that issues will not be debated in this public meeting. Comments will be summarized in the official board minutes, which will be available by contacting the business office. Please take a moment to silence your cell phones and other electronic devices. Thank you. I'd like to welcome all those that are attending tonight. Thank you for coming out. And Mrs. Collins, all board members are present except for Mr. Henderson, who has been excused. He has another commitment tonight. Could we all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Any notices or communications from any board members? All right, hearing none. Citizens participation. First, we have Craig Reber to talk about the music department position.
The first time. Do I just come up here, or?
Yeah, to the podium there and just speak into the mic. You can adjust that if you need to, so you can, there you go.
This is really formal.
Thank you for coming out.
Oh, I was gonna say thank you for taking a few moments to listen to me talk. I just wanted to share my thoughts as an alumni of Gettysburg regarding something that I saw in the paper a couple months ago, which was a petition to reopen a position in the music department that had been closed. And I just wanted to say that personally I feel like that position should be reinstated. I think it's critical. You know, when I was in school, I went through the music program, I was in band, I was in orchestra, and until my voice cracked, I was in chorus, and I really had a great experience. It was one of the most positive parts of being in school. I wasn't exactly the best student until I got to like my junior year, but music was one area where I really felt like I was doing a good job, and I really loved coming to school for it. And I noticed that since my two children have joined the school system and they both are flourishing within the music department themselves, the programs have seemed to become so much better than when I went through the program. I mean, the music they're playing is so much more complicated, and the patience and the level that the teachers bring them to is just amazing. Not that we had bad teachers when I was there, it's just I can tell they've progressed the program, they've grown the program, more kids are enrolled. And I just think if they're able to do that minus one person, what would one more position do for the program? How much better could that look? I currently work in a different system, an accounting system, public school, and I know within our own system, we have a full-time music teacher who does music and chorus. I've stepped into her room at like flex times, and there's over 50 eighth graders in her room. And I mean, I can tell you like that's not very effective teaching, not to mention there's some safety issues that come along with that sort of thing. I don't know what the class sizes are at the middle school, but like that's one of my concerns is that if we only have this many teachers and we have this many kids who suddenly show an interest, and now those class sizes swell, I mean, that could be a safety issue as well as an instructional quality issue. Sorry, I'm a little distracted by the good news of tomorrow. Let's see here.
For some.
Sorry. I'm a teacher, so for me it's good news. So the other thing I wanted to say was, I think it was last year in 7th grade, my daughter had an opportunity to take a music theory class in middle school. And I understand that's not something that's typically offered, so I'm very grateful and thankful that that opportunity was afforded. However, I understand that that only came about because the teacher was able to finagle something into her schedule that just allowed for that one semester. And again, I just feel like if that's offered to my daughter, who excels in music, that should be something that could also be offered to other people, and it's probably a scheduling issue due to the lack of staffing in that capacity. And then one more thing I wanted to say about it, and that's the fact that I understand that most of the music teachers are itinerant. I myself am an itinerant teacher, and I understand that traveling between schools, that's lost instruction time for me. It really wears on me as far as figuring out schedules, communicating with different teachers, getting students from classrooms to do things, different schedules at different schools depending on events that are going on, different administrative styles. All of that stuff comes into play, and it really can bog down your efficiency as a teacher, and it can also affect student performance. And so I just consider that it's probably the same way here in Gettysburg. And if you're able to fulfill that position and get a person full-time in the middle school, I think that's just gonna, again, make the program that much stronger. It'll boost morale, it'll improve efficiency, and hopefully student performance as well. Thank you for listening.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Next, we have Matt Jenkins.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the board. I really just wanted to take this opportunity to thank you for being a part of the Gettysburg Area School District for nearly 11 years. On Friday, March 29th, I'll be leaving the middle school to continue my career as assistant principal of Fairview Elementary in the Waynesboro Area School District. Gettysburg has been a tremendous place to work. Not only have I had the opportunity to work with amazing young students, I've also had the chance to work with teachers who are truly committed to giving our young students the best education possible. I've had supportive administration along the way that have always encouraged their staff. I started at Lincoln Elementary with Kathy Harner for 3 years, and then I was fortunate enough to go across the street to the middle school and have Steve Litton for 1 year before he retired. Both of those administrators had a tremendous impact on me as a teacher and made me want to continue to grow professionally. I also want to thank Nancy Herb, who's the current principal at the middle school. She has been a blessing for us. She truly cares about us, not only as teachers, but as individuals, and is always willing to work towards common goals and the betterment of the students. I've had wonderful colleagues along the way that always work together for the best interest of the students. Some of those colleagues have become great friends that I consider family. I've had many opportunities to grow professionally during my time in Gettysburg. Aside from being a 4th grade teacher at Lincoln and a 6th grade math teacher at the middle school, I've had the chance to take on extra duties as well, which I've always relished. I've had the opportunity to be a department head, a team leader. I was assistant middle school athletic director with Mr. Williams for 5 years. I've been an after-school tutor, an interim administrator, student council advisor, as well as a chance to help in promoting a lot of community events, our annual Veterans Day breakfasts. I've joined forces with a local church that provided students with over 100 Christmas gifts last year, as well as upgrading our clothing closets at the middle school. I've been extremely grateful and thankful for those opportunities because they've all helped shape me and lead me in the direction of going from classroom teacher to instructional leader. I want to thank the board for your support within the district, as well as Dr. Perrin and Dr. Lay. I've always felt that you've all had the best interest of not only the students but the teachers as well, and you give us multiple opportunities to grow professionally. I know it's the goal of any school board to employ as many highly qualified professionals as you can, but giving teachers the opportunity to continue to grow professionally is something that I'm very grateful for. I've had the chance to earn a master's degree and my administrative certificate through your guys' generosity and allowing teachers to do that. So I want to thank you for that as well. I know I don't know all of you personally, but I've had the chance to meet and speak with some of you over the years. So I definitely want to say thank you to everybody, specifically Mr. Kenny Hassinger, who's not only a board member, but one of my best friends, and actually the godfather of my daughter. He's always given me great guidance and advice over the years, personally and professionally. And he's always been there to lend an ear, so I want to say thank you to Kenny. Gettysburg has become and will continue to be my home. I have 2 children, one who's a 3rd grader at Lincoln now, and a daughter who will join the kindergarten ranks in the fall of 2020. Although I will no longer be teaching in the district, I will continue to be an advocate for Gettysburg schools and the students. I'm extremely excited about my new opportunity in Waynesboro and becoming a building administrator, and truly hope that I can make my way back to Gettysburg sometime in that same capacity. Gettysburg schools are not only a great place to learn, but filled with great people that make the schools a great place to learn. So again, I thank you for the opportunity the last 11 years.
Thank you, and good luck.
Thank you.
When do you start that?
April 1.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay, lastly, we have Dan Gorley, here to speak about the high school lacrosse program.
Hello, how are you guys?
Good.
Give me a quick minute here. I have 11 font, and once you hit 40, like they say, I know you're familiar with the eyeglasses start to come out. So bear with me on my font.
It doesn't get better.
Does it get any better?
No.
And they never come out.
Yeah, okay, I'll have to increase my font, I guess. Okay, like I said, my name's Dan Gorley, and I'm the proud parent of Max and Reese Gorley, who attend the middle and high schools. I'm here today to emphasize the importance to help our students in the Gettysburg Area School District to gain additional leadership opportunities through the game of lacrosse. In 1992, I earned my BA in psychology from Salisbury University, while playing lacrosse for 4 years under the tutelage of Hall of Fame coach Jim Berkman, the recipient of 12 national lacrosse championships, and I was a captain my senior year. Upon graduation, I worked for the English Lacrosse Union in London, England, where we developed the game of lacrosse with elementary, middle, and high school students. When I returned back to the United States, I decided to become a certified lacrosse referee, helped pay for our wedding with my wife with those fees for 12 years. Still had the interest of lacrosse. In the year 2003, we moved to Gettysburg, and we call Gettysburg home for the past, 15 years now. And what we noticed was there was a void of any kind of developmental lacrosse, with the exception of nationally ranked men's and women's teams at Gettysburg College, where the women, I don't know if you know, they've won 2 national NCAA lacrosse championships there. So I've coached varsity high school lacrosse in Westminster, Maryland at Winters Mill, right across the border. In the 15 years in Gettysburg, which we now, again, proudly call home, we've seen the inception of developmental lacrosse leagues in surrounding towns around Gettysburg, such as Hanover, Littlestown, New Oxford, Spring Grove, Chambersburg, York, just to name a few. You may have heard that lacrosse is the fastest game on 2 feet, but did you realize, according to the Sports and Fitness Industry Association, it is the fastest growing sport for the past 6 years in the nation and continues to grow at an astounding rate. Look no further than to our neighboring towns for that support of that claim. The current enrollment at Gettysburg Area High School is, I guess it's 940 students, and middle school is 678. Let's say JV and varsity, baseball, softball, track and field, all roughly consist of maybe 100 players, roughly consist of. Now there's other programs such as band, where kids are also involved in leadership opportunities, I understand that. That leaves around 840 students without any additional leadership opportunities. Currently, we have 50 student athletes already signed up for the high school club lacrosse. The middle school boasts a total of 67 student athletes signed up who are continuing to search for additional lacrosse leadership opportunities. I'm familiar with the numbers that involve lacrosse budgets through my experience with the game. Biggest inhibitor is the cost of starting a program. I've heard numbers ranging from $55,000 to $69,000. Typically, with my experience in Maryland, 80% of that budget consists of equipment costs for each student. I can tell you student athletes purchase their own lacrosse equipment, such as helmets, sticks, gloves, and other kinds of pads, just as a baseball player would buy their own gloves, buy their own bats, and cleats as well. So a lot of those costs that are in that budget that we've heard about, it all comes out of a lot of the parents and additional fundraisers that we continue to do as well. But again, 80% of that is just equipment costs, typically. So that drastically reduces the numbers for a budget to implement lacrosse in high school. When I graduated with my master's in counseling from Sam Houston State University in Texas, my thesis was written on the effects of extracurricular activity on deterring juvenile delinquent behavior. Basically, when the community offers more opportunities for students to become involved in. As you can imagine, less delinquent behavior there is that we experience not only in the community, but also in the school level. So I invite you to come out to our clinic on March 30th, held at Warrior Stadium from 10 to 12 o'clock. I'd like you to witness a few leadership opportunities in action with our student athletes. Leadership in lacrosse looks like abilities to listen, taking action, doing the right thing, setting the example, instructing others, displaying sincerity, and most importantly, showing perseverance. We invite you to see our student athletes show the art of positively influencing others to unite in a common direction, to improve themselves and their community as well. This type of leadership directly carries over into the classroom as well. So that's pretty much all I have to say. I know lacrosse has taken me all over the world, and those leadership opportunities, if we don't have additional opportunities for our students, then they just go wasted. So again, I invite you to come out March 30th at Warrior High School from 10 to 12 to see our leadership opportunities with our kids.
So,
Thank you.
Thank you, Dan.
so one quick question.
Sure.
March 30th, what's taking place?
There's a clinic.
Okay.
It's a lacrosse clinic for elementary, middle, and high school students. It's a beginner's clinic where we just want to promote the game. A lot of it's just to see the numbers that we have. We want to increase those numbers, and most importantly, to make it fun for the kids and offer another activity other than baseball or softball or wrestling. There's nothing against those other sports, but there's a lot of other kids out there that are looking for leadership opportunities, and lacrosse is a great avenue for that.
This is being held in our stadium?
At our stadium right here.
High
Yep.
school,
Thank you.
At
the high school.
high school, I'm sorry, at the high school from 10 to 12.
High school.
Not Warrior Stadium, my fault. Thank you, Lisa. At the high school, sorry about that.
Thank you.
March 30th. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any board chairs that have reports?
Item on?
No, there's no report from the
Okay, none from legislative?
No.
Finance, Buildings and Grounds. We are canceling this month's meeting. There are no pressing items on the budget calendar for the committee to act upon. The budget heads are in the process of refining their respective budgets. There will be a chart forthcoming from the committee that will be shared with the board. That chart is in relation to the financial amounts for the charter school question that we've had. So that will be coming shortly.
Thank you. Hey, Dr. Carnes, building and program information.
Good evening. Just a quick update. Yesterday, we were able to hold our full day of professional development for our district professional staff. We had an amazing response. There was 13 sessions, each lasting 2 hours in duration at the elementary school. A lot of tech integration sessions with our instructional coaches, but also some outside the district participants who came from as far as Williamsport and our IU, and thankfully the weather cooperated where they were, because they were texting me Sunday night, not certain, and I didn't have a backup plan. So I was grateful that they were able to get here and provide professional learning for our teachers. It's probably the first time we actually could have all of our support staff and our general ed teachers in the same sessions, because we had enough variety that appealed to all of them. So I was very excited about that. And high school and middle school had trauma-informed practices and some tech integration sessions as well. And again, everyone reported good feedback and active engagement from our participants. So, thank you.
Thank you.
It's on a call at 6:30. Cancel school tomorrow. As a former earth science teacher, I do love watching the weather. I'm somewhat of a meteorologist, but I'm over it now. The weather can stop. Schools and offices will be closed tomorrow, and that's pretty consistent countywide in multiple counties, really based on the last thing that I saw. So that brings us to we have March 15th is now a snow makeup day. April 18th is now a snow makeup day, and now June 5th. So we're now officially into June. Our seniors, I have a commencement May 29th, or May, is that correct? May 31st, sorry. May 31st, and that will not change regardless of how much snow we get. That is a fixed date so that people can plan around that with family coming in and out of town and those kind of things. So we're in the Wednesday of that week now, and that kind of gives us 2 days to round out that week. And if we need to go past there, we might look at some other creative solutions that don't involve actual school days. So that's kind of where we are at this point. And sent a doodle pull out to board members to try to reschedule with IDET. Last I looked, there's one date that seems to work so far. So once the last few folks participate, I'll get word out if that's the date that we're going to be able to use. John Lewis and I will be meeting on March 6th with Dr. Peter Montminy from State College, who's going to be doing the parent information session on April 17th on anxiety in students. And hopefully next week we'll get a full week of, we'll get to a full week of school here soon. It's been challenging with people's calendars. It's just as challenging for families. So we appreciate everybody hanging in there. And this time of year, I also like to give a shout out to our bus drivers, because we still roll on days where there is some weather. Sometimes we don't delay and cancel, and those folks do a phenomenal job of getting folks where they need to be safely. So I want to publicly thank them for the work they do. We're fortunate in that our subcontractors have fantastic drivers. So thanks for the work they do.
Thanks, Jason. All right, on to our business. 9 personnel, item 9.1.
So moved.
Discussion. All right, hearing none. Take the vote. Mike?
Yes.
Alice?
Yes.
Ken?
Yes.
Al?
Yes.
Sylvan?
Yes.
Kathleen?
Yes.
Carrie?
Yes.
And I vote yes. That brings us to supplementals, item 14.1.
So moved. Second.
Okay, we're open for discussion.
I just would like to thank Dr. Perrin for answering the question that I had about the actual dollar amount, and thank you, Tam, for adding that information back into our agenda.
I would like to pose a question that needs to be answered now. We were looking at the supplementals and wondering if it is still a needed service to provide the after-school academic program coordinator at the high school, at the middle school. We have upcoming teacher contracts. There'll be data, certainly when you look at the number of teachers that it took to fill this need, as well as is there student interest. There is ARC, I believe it's still called, that may meet that need now. So gathering some data on this particular topic would be valuable information as the board and the teachers union come together over that next contract and to see if it is needed for a replication of services.
Okay.
Yes, and I
Dan?
I would agree that I think it's one of the things that is going to be looked at with the upcoming contract is how we employ across the board in the district from elementary through high school, and how we utilize those teachers. So I think that is number one thing as far as the supplementals go.
Tam, on that note, would it not be beneficial to hear from Mr. Lusk and the other administrators from each of the buildings that this actually pertains to? Because I would think, and I asked this question prior to the meeting, that I would defer to Mr. Lusk and the other principals for their guidance on that, because they're on the ground seeing what the student involvement is opposed to
Right.
ARC and what effectiveness the after-school program has.
Go ahead, Jim.
So ARC was created over a few years as teachers and administrators recognized the need for students to do a number of things. One, catch up on an individual basis with teachers to get extra help, to make up the test, anything of that sort when there wasn't time otherwise. Didn't make sense to try and figure out how to make up a test during a class period as you're trying to just stick with the lesson of the day, or to intervene or enrich in either direction of the academic spectrum, again in the moment. So ARC was created occasionally, once, then twice a week, and it would change the schedule of the day, but whenever we did that, it still seemed advantageous for both the teacher and the student to connect in a different setting. It then became the common, or the consensus around the building to come up with a consistent schedule. So ARC was every day, as it is right now at the end of the day. So it's a little longer than a half hour. It's about 35 minutes in length. Each student goes to, you could refer to it much like a homeroom, to an ARC. And that would be a study hall, as most of us would know it to be. But teachers use an electronic system to request students. So you might request a student that is failing your class. You might request a student that needs to make up a test. You might request a student and ask you to request them. So we would see a shifting around 2 o'clock every day. Usually around 400 students are moving from one place to a requested teacher. And again, that might be their individual request or the teacher's request for a variety of reasons. That worked fairly well. We've tried a couple different electronic systems to manage that flow of students, which is a massive flow of students, to try to get them to the right place. We're actually launching a new system that I'm not going to get into the details and involve a conversation down, but we're looking to improve the efficiency of that. Because if you take a classroom of 25 students, or let's say 20 students, which would be the typical ARC size, and you want to call in 10 students, all of a sudden you're looking at 30 students, which you have 20 trying to use a study hall situation, then you're going to try and have a small group lesson with them. Sometimes that's too many in the room. So then you might have to hope that someone else is going to pull kids from your room. You know, hope is not really something we really want to rely on. So now we're setting up a system where students actually choose places to be. You don't have students trying to do study hall in the wood shop or in the art room, which has happened. We're now going to try and get the right kids into the art room, the right kids into the wood shop, and the right kids into calculus. And we have a system that's going to improve that drastically, that is going to be launched next week, because why wait until next year? So ARC is working, but there's always kids that need more help. And historically, we've had after-school programs. With the dollar amount, it's similar to what's in the budget now. It's grown a little bit each year, of course, that's what happens naturally. Our tutoring program usually involves staffing from about 3 to 4 people that split that budgeted item. And I would say it was ineffective. It's effective in that some students go. Enough students? No. National Honor Society students would staff that with the oversight of just a couple teachers. Some students might be comfortable working with their peers, some students might not. With the consistent limited number of teachers, you might not find the best math teacher in the building to go get help from. You might not find the best science teacher to go get help from. So what we did is we kind of opened that up. Instead of assigning contracts, a few contracts to a few teachers for the course of the year, we told teachers that we're going to break that amount down into essentially hourly figures, and any teacher that knew that a kid needed help could sign up to tutor on a given day. So we try to create a schedule where we had a math teacher and an English teacher every Monday, and kids knew that they had access to a math teacher and an English teacher on Monday, a science teacher and a social studies teacher on Wednesday, a general tutor as well. So we tried to set up a system where you had access to the right people and sell it that way. We also told teachers, if you have a test coming up, you can tell your students, we will have a study session on Monday or on Wednesday, and try to entice those kids to stay for extra help. The numbers have improved. There's more kids accessing after-school tutoring on Mondays and Wednesdays than I've ever seen. I'm not going to share all the numbers with you. The numbers have improved. Is it where we think it should be or where it could be? Probably not. Kids are busy after school. Kids are busy with sports. Kids are busy working. Kids have just put in a full day, and they've had ARC. So maybe they've already gotten the help they need. So we're trying to figure out whether ARC is enough. I don't think it's quite enough, but I think it's yet to be determined whether the after-school program as it is effective and efficient as it needs to be. But it has improved, which is obviously the right direction.
Thank you for adding to the information and also agreeing to collect more info as this
So
new process goes on.
Looking at my Google sheet on my phone, we had over 100 different students, 160, 120. There were about 166 sessions, hour-long sessions that were used first half of the year. To break that out down into a dollar amount, it's a little under $20 per kid per session, $19 and some odd cents, just to make it a monetary figure. Again, we're going to keep analyzing.
Thank you.
Well,
Any other questions or discussion? Okay, then we will vote on supplemental item 14.1. Alice?
Yes.
Bless you. Ken?
Yes.
Al?
Yes.
Sylvan?
Yes.
Kathleen?
Yes.
Carrie?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
I vote yes. Transportation, item 15.1 and 15.2, bus drivers and van drivers.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Are you hearing none? Take the vote. Ken?
Yes.
Al?
Yes.
Sylvan?
Yes.
Kathleen?
Yes.
Carrie?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Alice?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Financial report, item 18.1, pay the bills.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion or questions? All right, hearing none. Al?
Yes.
Sylvan?
Yes.
Kathleen?
Yes.
Carrie?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Alice?
Yes.
Ken?
Yes.
And I vote yes. That concludes our business items for tonight. Under information items, anything for good of the order, reminder to board members that, and Andrew wanted me to remind you, that next Monday, or the next board meeting, Monday, March 4th, we are in the garden room at 6 o'clock for a board administrative conference to get trained on the new Gmail system, because we will be leaving first class and we will be getting a new email system. So we're going to be trained on that and get set up with that. So put that on your calendars. Okay? Any other things?
I do for the good of the order.
Yes?
I only do this because Mr. Lutz sits here this evening. I was one of the advocates of having either some representative from the school districts to come into our meeting. This is a perfect example, because over the last 2 or 3 weeks, I can't tell you, I'm at probably 6 different parents that have approached me with nothing but praise and compliments for your leadership there, especially after the death of Mr. Audie. There were 2 of the students that I crossed paths with their parents that were so impressed that he left his office and took control of the classroom. I don't even know if that's true, I'm giving you what they told me. So I want to thank you publicly, because like I said, I've heard it from 6 different parents, not all in one setting, that have commented on your leadership there.
Carlos.
Yes? Mike?
Brian Mount, our cross-country coach,
Yes?
is in the hospital. He had a stroke.
Oh, no.
He's been well. I visited him yesterday,
All right.
and he was able to carry on a conversation with me for 20, 25 minutes. So once they get the feeding tube out, they'll let him go home.
Okay, what hospital is he?
He's at the Gettysburg
Oh,
Hospital.
Gettysburg, right here, okay.
Happened to be in town for a goodbye dinner for one of his friends, who actually is Tim Dowd, who's been for our track officials for years. So, but he's doing well. But He said a lot of athletes and parents stopped by to see him.
Great. Great. Anything else? I hear nothing else, then stand adjourned.